20, 40, 60.
Jerry, what are you doing, man?
Oh, I bet Stefan $100 that Pete Dunne was going to win.
Dude, this was from 3 years ago.
Gentlemen, raise your beverages. This is an NXT party. Jerry, what are you doing with my money, Jerry?
Oh.
What are you doing with my money, Jerry? Thank you, Donald Trump. Welcome everybody to the NXT party for the WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament 2017 Part 2. I'm your host, the Rated R Reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And we are joined as well tonight by the Cleaver Colin Andrew on the big screen. How's it going, Colin?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
The night was just too big for me and Stefan, so we had to bring in Colin.
Yeah, it's too big for one night. It's too big for two people. It's the birth of NXT UK.
Yes, it is.
That it is. What I like about this, but I also hate about this, you've whittled 16 guys down to the last 8. And a couple of these guys we really never see from again. Or at least we haven't. Or barely. Sam Gladwell ends up going off into obscurity, basically. But you've got the cream of the crop, but this also means that some of these guys you're going to see 3 times in one night.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks to be them because they got to wrestle 3 times in one night. But this produces so much better matches. You've got this storyline going throughout of Pete Dunne doing everything he can ahead of time to sabotage his opponent so that during the match he's got the upper hand. Oh, just good shit.
That's what I really loved about Pete Dunne in this whole thing was the fact that, yeah, he's not nearly the bruiserweight that we know now. He was more like vicious and whatnot, but more calculating outside the ring than he actually was inside.
He was an actual heel. He debuted basically on NXT, WWE, whatever, as a heel. And there you go. And the problem is, as often as he wrestles in the UK, they just love him there.
There's no choice in the matter.
They don't care if he's a bad guy. They're going to cheer for him anyway.
And they love him for it.
Bruiserweight. Oh, love it.
Yeah, kids pretty much crying in the crowd, and their parents go like, Bruiserweight!
Well, he starts the show off against Sam Gladwell. Gradwell. See, that's what I'm talking about. Colin, what did you think about this match before I botch another date?
Well, I mean, we saw Pete Dunne attack him in night 1 and, assault the back and this, that, and the other. So this is Sam's opportunity to try to get revenge on Mr. Doom. And it didn't go his way at all. And especially afterwards with the extra bitter end after the match with a little after-match cheap pop beat down. I thought it was a good match. It was a good opening match. Jerry said it best. Pete Dunne was an asshole in this tournament. And it was awesome to see because it got you intrigued. Pete Dunne got me intrigued even more in this tournament when I first watched it because I watched it live on the WWE Network back in January 2017 when it first initially aired. And it really sucked me in more because of the character that Pete Dunne was portraying. But it was a great opening match to this night 2 of the tournament, and we also knew going out of night 1 that Pete Dunne was going nowhere. So at least until the end, he earned his. They wouldn't have given him that type of scenario if they were just going to boot him right out of the tournament.
This is true.
And and that Sam Gladwell guy, where the hell he been? He don't go here no more.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him in NXT UK when it finally started up. He looks like a hell of a competitor. He just wasn't going to look like one against Pete Dunne, especially after getting laid out at the end of the show. X-plexed onto the ramp and then like thrown off of the ramp into the fucking, I think like suplexed into the barricade on the out. Like, fuck, he got fucked up last night. And he comes into this, and it seems like a back and forth match, sort of, but it just kind of, to me, ended abruptly.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
That's what I was about to start getting at. Is the fact that like the ending kind of felt like a one of those action movie type endings, because you have Pete Dunne set Gradwell like on top rope, and just nonchalant, you just push him off, and like he just falls backwards, and then just throws back into a ring. German suplex into the to the turnbuckle and a pin. So it was really neat to actually see a match not end with like the wishbone snap or the or even the bitter end, even though the bitter end came afterwards.
Yeah, he hits this power slam into the corner where he basically throws Sam Gladwell upside down vertically into the corner, and he fell on his head, and then he picks him up and No, he pins him right off of that.
Yeah, he pins him off that.
Then he picks him up and hits the bitter end after the match.
It was very well established that he was going to be the heel in this. Like, basically you had that vibe that he was going to go all the way to the end against William Regal's wishes, more or less. Because anytime William Regal was able to complain about Pete Dunne, he did.
Coolest move of the night goes to Sam Gradwell. He goes for a suicida to the outside, hits it, follows up because he hits it, but grabs Pete Dunne's head, and he turns it into a tornado DDT.
I think it was a happy little accident, but it was still a great one.
A suicida, a tope suicida into a tornado DDT. And this was like at the edge of the ramp. Like, he flew far. That was really awesome. Let's see, what else? Suplex onto the ramp, for vengeance.
Yeah.
Dunne gets him back in, or they get back in the ring, and Dunne hits him with that spring off of the rope, where he like pushes him into the ropes and then springs off with the German suplex.
I was about to say Thatcher nailed a lot of those the other night.
But then Gradwell gets up and catches him off the ropes with a Michinoku driver, gets a near fall. See, and then that's where Dunne picks him up and sets him on the top rope, not in the corner, in the middle, and then pushes him off, and he just tumbles out onto the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring.
Don't you know?
And then, again, pushes him back in the ring, throws him into the... Because he barely gets... No, he didn't push him back in the ring. He gets in on a 9 count.
Yeah. He gets on a 9 count, and like Pete does, like, you gotta be fucking kidding me!
So I guess he was going for a count out.
Yeah.
So he picks him up, throws him in the corner, lands on his head, pins him, and then hits a bitter end. And I'm sure William Regal's stewing. He's pissed. But, yeah.
It was a great opening match. And it set the tone for the rest of the night for Pete Dunne, at least.
Yeah, as we alluded to earlier, we all know what the outcome of this tournament is going to be. We know who the final 2 are going to be, so we knew who was going to win this match.
Just watching the matches like go was the entertaining part.
Believe it or not, though, some of these matches I had no idea who was going to win and progress, because I knew that neither one of them was going to make it to the final 2, so it could be anybody.
Well, the thing is, I have a Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine that I've been like reading back from 2017.
Yeah, you read, I don't.
Yeah, and sure enough, I knew like who Tyler Bates' last 3 opponents were going to be. So either way, I just wanted to see how the matches would unfold, and it was still magic. It was great.
So Charlie Caruso gets an interview with Dunne after the match about what she says is a controversial victory, and he says he doesn't think it's controversial. Triple H doesn't think it's controversial.
No, Triple H.
Triple H.
Yeah, I actually wrote it like that. Hache is how I wrote it.
H.
And he says 2 down, 2 to go, and then leaves. And now it's time for Mark Andrews versus Joseph Connors.
This was a match I was actually really looking forward to, because Joseph Connors looked a lot more vicious back then, and Mark Andrews, he was just really starting to get his feet wet in the WWE, because at that point he had just left Impact. It was still really big in Evolve. So, and Progress, I believe, too. Yeah, Progress, mostly. But at that point, he was the bee's knees. and still kind of is. He hasn't really lost a step.
You know what? He has at least one general rule.
Yes.
And it is the general rule.
I was about to say,
one.
general rule number 1 is for Mark Andrew. Never try to vertically suplex Mark Andrew.
And he does that stun dog so many times in this tournament that eventually Michael Cole says, or maybe it was Nigel says, you'd think they'd stop trying to vertical suplex him.
And I'm like, thank you, Nigel!
This was a fun match, but here's the thing. Like I said earlier, we've gotten it down to the best of 8 of half of the initial lot. And so these should not be nothing but fun matches from here on out. And spoiler alert, they were. I don't think there was a bad match among them.
No.
Including the exhibition match that we got before the main event. And yes, we were going to treat the finals, the championship match as the main event.
Of course.
But let's concentrate on Mark Andrews and Joseph Connors. Because, like I said, fun match. What were your thoughts?
I already gave my thoughts. It's
Okay,
Colin.
Well, this was my first time ever seeing Joseph Connors. So, looking back now, he may not be takeover worthy, but he was tournament worthy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like Jerry noted earlier, he was more vicious. But I think that's just because he had something to prove, and now, I mean, he's in NXT UK, and he's never really on TV much anymore anyway, so we're not going to see that vicious side. But
even then, it's half and half booking with him. It's like win-loss.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this match because Mark Andrews really put on a hell of a show. The dude can counter anything out of anything, as noted to many, many times over again throughout the course of this show and many others. But no, I really liked this. Joseph Connors, though, he just wasn't doing it for me, and I had a feeling going into this that Mark Andrews was going to come out on top because I was looking at the rest of the bracket and trying to figure out, all right, we got a heel, we got a face, we got So anyway, it was what it was. I really did enjoy it. And watching it back recently, I watched it last week. It was nice to see it again because I have not watched the tournament in 3 years. But
that's the really cool thing about what we've gotten to see, because Stefan and I have never watched the tournament. So we're getting to see these stars that we're so used to talking about every week, like on their own brand and everything, start out in this tournament and how much they've grown and how much their repertoire has changed. Like Jordan Devlin, I'm glad he ditched the jacket. Otherwise, it would have been just another Finn Balor. Another Finn Balor thing. And even in Nigel McGuinness said, it's like, he's a protege of Finn Balor. I'm like, stop talking about that.
But you also said repertoire-wise, the things that they've added or the things that they've
taken away. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Because there's a lot of moves that we've seen that we're like, why don't they do that anymore?
Why the fuck not? Yeah, so let's see. My first note here, Connors dodging a moonsault off the apron and then drop toe holds Mandrews into the steps. And then, let's see, back in the ring, Mandrews hits that double running knees into the corner, Northern Light suplex, and standing moonsault countered.
To the knees.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Joseph, like, he bends just in the right position that Joseph Connors is able to just turn into a small package like that.
Mm-hmm.
See, Connors hangs Mandrews' neck over the top rope with that, it's like how Sheamus would have you set up for the beats of the Bowery, but, instead pulling the head back, so snapping the neck. And then comes into the ring with a slingshot flatliner, gets a near fall off of that.
They tried to call that a don't look down.
The don't look down is a package flatliner, but a version of
package.
They didn't know who they were talking about. We're thinking Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness now would know what all these moves are for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, because they called this pop-up power slam that somebody did, they called it a pop-up power bomb, just like what Kevin Owens does when Kevin Owens was the Universal Champ. And I'm like, no, that was a pop-up power slam. Anyway, we'll probably get there somewhere along the line. Let's see. Connors hits that back elbow that he does where he drops him across his knee, only it lands wrong and it literally domes Mandrews. But he gets right back up and counters a vertical suplex with a stun dog. Like
the commentators are saying exactly what we should have been thinking. Why didn't you go for don't look down, and why would you go for a vertical suplex instead?
Yeah. So, fall to pieces, shooting star, pinfall, Mark Andrews advances to the semifinals, which is fine.
Whoop, whoop.
We knew neither one of them was going to make it to the finals anyway.
But I was about to say, so that makes him and Pete Dunne in the semifinals later on in the evening.
Hey guys, Fit Finley's in the crowd.
Woo!
Ooh.
Shillelagh!
One thing I miss about NXT UK though from this tournament is how they would do the handshakes before the match, and afterwards they get in the middle of the ring and do the arm raise with both of them in the center of the ring.
I was about to say that actually adds a little more class to it, I think,
It did.
a little more prestige.
Well, this was a thing that they've done for all the tournaments. If you go back and watch the Cruiserweight tournament and the Mae Young Classics, I'm pretty sure, because I didn't watch the second Mae Young Classic, but I know the first one. They raised the hands in all of these tournaments just like that at the end of every match.
It gave it that more official feel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just felt like a regular pay-per-view and didn't really feel that important.
Trent Seven versus Wolfgang.
This was a surprisingly good match.
Yeah, two big guys, bigger. Trent Seven has gotten bigger from here. Wolfgang has gotten smaller and bigger at the same time. Like he's working.
He's gotten toner.
Mm-hmm.
He looks really good. At this point now, I'm starting to agree with Jerry. He looks like a guy that really ought to be considered for the championship at some point down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just really good.
And he's remained injury-free so far,
pretty big.
short of the busted nose in this match.
I mean, granted, he's half of the tag champs, but we're talking singles titles here. I guess I'll go first. I see Wolfgang hitting a moonsault off the barricade was awesome.
Yep.
But he whacks his knee in the process. And then Trent Seven comes off with a suicida onto him, which is like, wow.
It just came out of nowhere, too.
Let's see, back in the ring, Wolfgang hits Wasteland and then goes for a moonsault. Like, immediately, Trent Seven gets his knees up and picks him up for a dragon suplex. Stunningly painful looking dragon
suplexes out of Trent Seven are the only things I love about the guy.
I mean, it's a snapdragon, and he lands them right on their neck, and honestly, it looks like it's a dangerous move, honestly. I'm just saying. I think Wolfgang was going for a lung blower here, but I'm not sure. Either way, Seven counters it, and then somehow gets it into a 7-star lariat. It was a little clunky looking in setup, but he hits it, but only gets a near fall. Wolfgang kicks out of 7-star. And then I think Seven goes up top, and Wolfgang goes up top. Seven follows him. Wolfgang headbutts him off the top, and then hits the howling
on his back.
Onto his back while he's like on his all fours, which was stunning. Anyway, he gets the pinfall, man. Wolfgang moves on. I was surprised by this. Honestly, I thought Trent Seven would have made it into the quarters.
Yep. But the bracket, the way it was set up, would have had him going against Tyler Bate, and
which would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome, but at the same time, I think they were trying to tell a different story, and they couldn't have Trent Seven versus Tyler Bate just yet.
Colin, what did you think about the match?
I thought it was fantastic for the two bigger guys of the tournament. Wolfgang impressed the shit out of me in match one, because that was my first viewing of Wolfgang, was this tournament as well. So I was really impressed with him from night one, and I was really impressed with Trent Seven from night one as well. But when you have Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, and Trent Seven, and I see it now, looking back at it, you're not going to have the three top guys from one company be the three main faces of this. So one of them's got to go. One of them's got to go. So obviously they see awesome potential in Pete and Tyler being so young, and then you got 35-year-old Trent Seven at the time or whatever, just chilling,
falls down the ladder like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah. So, but no, Wolfgang hit a sick big boot in this match.
Yep.
that was just like, obviously he hits pretty much, awesome kicks now, but that big ass boot was just amazing. The physicality was great. The sportsmanship was amazing because they really did tear it down. This was my actual second favorite match of the night.
I was about to say that whole thing was just a really good feel-good moment because the look on Wolfgang's face after he got the pinfall in Trent 7, that was just wonderful.
And I clicked with Wolfgang too, because we had all these video packages and vignettes and stuff for everybody as they were introduced in night one, and like how he worked in a pub,
he was your average Joe.
Exactly. I'm like, dude, like I do the same shit that this guy does. Like I got tattoos, I got beard, I got long hair. I had long hair at the time, and it's like I relate to this dude, and so it really clicked with me for Wolfgang. But it was awesome, man. I love these fucking tournaments. I love seeing the first of things over again, and then seeing now where everyone's at.
Here's hoping for a European Championship.
Yeah.
I've already said everything with you guys. Let's go on to the next one.
Okay. Well, before we move on to the next match, there's our first look at our young baby-faced Radzi.
Yes!
In the crowd. They mentioned that he's from Blue Peter, which I guess is a children's show in the UK. And
the longest running children's show.
They've got these little pins, these lapel pins. They're little blue things. And he says to have one of these to a child is like winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
For a child.
For a 5-year-old.
In England. So
Nigel said it with such, panache that, it almost came off as condescending. But at the same time, you can tell he's actually really proud to be having that on.
So here's some free tickets and some free publicity, and come be our interviewer for, a year and a half, and we haven't seen him since Tony Storm came back. What did you do to Radzi? I'm telling you, he waited so long, he died from dehydration and starvation, one or the other.
He was awfully tiny.
Wow. Poor Radzi. But anyway, fresh-faced Radzi. Tyler Bate versus Jordan Devlin. So here was my first match of the night where I was expecting to be let down. Because Jordan Devlin, man. I've grown to really love Jordan Devlin, and this is his first showing. Granted, he got the first win. He won in round 1. But it wasn't a very satisfying victory.
Yeah.
Not really.
It set the tone for him being a heel, because after he gotten the... I'll go ahead and say a cheap victory because he busted open the back of Birch's head. He still went ahead and just super kicked him anyway, and that solidified the fact that, we're supposed to boo this man.
But it was still a good match. I mean, it's Jordan Devlin. He's going to put on a good match.
It's Jordan Devlin as Tyler Bate.
He doesn't really have his greatest hits here. He doesn't really put on a clinic of the moves that we're used to that he wows us with.
Nope.
But still Jordan Devlin. Colin, what do you think about the match?
Well, right in the beginning, it drew me in because they went to go do the handshake, and Tyler pulls back and does his little mustache deal and turns around, and then Jordan Devlin just lays right into him and gets right in the corner. This is a high-paced match, high-intensity match. I'm very glad that Tyler Bate finally grew up because he looked like a small child with an overgrown mustache that it's ridiculous looking how young the big strong boy was. But no, I thought it was a really good match. Like Stefan said, we didn't have the greatest hits. We still didn't know too much about these guys at the time. But great high-paced match. I'm trying to remember a couple different spots, and I know it was mostly Devlin in control in the beginning, and then obviously Bate gets the upper hand with a toupee onto the outside, which was really neat, right onto the ramp. But I would not have changed this match whatsoever, though. Sorry, it's been like a week since I watched it, so
it's no problem.
I'm just trying to go back and think, but no, man. to see where these guys have come now, and the fact that Tyler Bate has been a tag team champion for NXT, and then we have the NXT Cruiserweight champion Jordan Devlin on top of this. Just
we have the completely dominant NXT or UK champion in Pete Dunne.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Wolfgang doing his thing with Mark Coffey in the tag team division. Like, it's unreal to see the people that were in this tournament.
But before Mark Andrews got injured, he was doing just fine. But I'm starting I'm going to bring us back into the present here for a second. I'm pretty sure Mark Andrews just taking time off, was just taking time off just to be on Progress for a while. But either way, he's sorely missed.
Well, they're all taking time off right now.
Oh, yeah, they are. Some more than others.
What do you think about this particular match, Jerry?
You have, at this point, Jordan Devlin, who's been in the business seemingly 12 years. I think they said, just has been training for 12 years. Tyler Bates only is fourth year, and he looks better than almost every other wrestler in the tournament. And we find that out at the end that he is. But this match was special to me because, like you said, we didn't see a lot of the Jordan Devlin greatest hits or anything. We just saw that Insiguri again that took out Danny Burch, and Tyler Bate recovered from it long enough to nail the bop and bang, and the Tyler Driver 97, which each time he delivers it through this tournament, it looks more and more impressive.
Yeah, at the end of the match, he hits that. It was like a Trouble in Paradise Enziguri.
Yeah.
And he expected it to bust open the back of Tyler Bates' head and them have to call the match. And instead, Tyler Bate gets up and
checks his
the
hands.
Bop and bang.
He's like, no blood.
And then bop bang, and then Tyler Driver. But my favorite move of this match was toward the beginning where Devlin takes over. He's on the apron and he's leaning back using the top rope.
Yes.
And Tyler Bate comes in to grab him, and he lets go of the top rope, and it snaps back into Tyler Bates' face like a rubber band.
Why does he still not do that?
That is awesome. Probably because it's dangerous. I don't know. Bate dodges a moonsault, and Devlin counters a Tyler Driver early on with a roll-up, but only gets a near fall off of it. And then we have that finish with the Enziguri and the Tyler Driver. Yeah, it was expected for Tyler Bate to go over, obviously. But that's why I knew I was going to be sad during this match. But still, good match.
Oh, yeah, it was excellent.
By the way, guys... Oh, go ahead.
I did love the spin and then Jordan Devlin just falling the fuck out of the ring. That was the comedic part.
I just realized something. Tyler Bate was in the last match out of each of the brackets.
Yeah, they had to make sure that they could give at least some time in between the matches.
Yeah.
So you had the first two competitors qualify, then the next two, and then the first two met, and then the next two met.
Mm-hmm.
And then a match in between, which I called. I'm going to gloat about it now.
Yeah.
This is when I'm going to gloat about it. So he was like, man, you think the title match is going to be damn near an hour? And I'm like, no, dude, there's going to have a match in between. Maybe a couple of guys from round one will come back and have a tag match. Or
that would have been cool, like a six-man tag or something.
But yeah, we did get an exhibition match. We will get to that. Meanwhile, guys, Robbie Brookside's in the crowd. This is going to come in handy later when you got a bunch of talent to train. And you got a spot on the women's roster that you need to fill.
Giggity.
I think we are all in agreement that... Never mind. Mark Andrews versus Pete Dunne. Mark Andrews versus Pete Dunne. Fun match because it's Mark Andrews and it's Pete Dunne.
Mm-hmm. Fun's not even the beginning way to describe this match. It was super exciting. You had the high flying of Mark Andrews. You could tell that Pete Dunne had him scouted. You could tell Mark Andrews had Pete Dunne scouted at the same time. They were going hold for hold, back and forth, and it was just terrific. And then the finish at the end, you can kind of tell because the crowd was just on their feet for the last maybe 5 or 6 minutes of this match, just standing there, just in bated breath, just watching this match. And it was a really star-making match for both of them. If Pete Dunne wasn't already a star, Mark Andrew, this just put him on that next level.
Okay, so just so many great spots here. My first one is Andrews is over by the steps, and Pete Dunne sets him up with his hand on the steps to do what I call now the Baszler stomp. But Mandrews dodges, of course, because it's really easy to do. You just move your arm. He dodges out of that, but after the dodge, he hits a Hurricane Rana. He jumps from the floor to where Pete Dunne is standing on the top of the steps to grab his neck with his ankles.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't fucking impress you, I don't know what's gonna. But yeah, he hits the Rana.
I actually said, holy shit, and you had to rewind it.
Yeah, then we're back in the ring, and Mandrews hits that trifecta that he does, that running Meteora into the corner, Northern Light suplex, only this time, instead of a standing moonsault, he does a standing 450 senton.
Mm-hmm.
He stands in front of the son of a bitch, facing away.
He actually scooted forward a little bit. He's like, a little bit further. There we go.
He jumps in the air, does a front flip, and still lands a full senton after spinning 450 degrees on the guy that was behind him. What the fuck? Near fall, though. Near fall, of course. He's not moving on. This is where Mandrews like outshines himself because he knows he's not moving on. He goes for that moonsault attempt where he hops over the top rope and moonsaults off the apron, but Dunne catches him, hits him with an X-Plex onto the apron, then an X-Plex onto the ramp. Then he throws him in the ring, and now he wants to do it in the ring. And out of that...
stun dog!
Yeah, stun dog for a near fall. I don't care what kind of plex you call it. If it starts from a vertical...
Yep.
General rule number 1.
Goes into effect, yes.
Yeah, but he goes for that shooting star, and Dunne counters with the knees, goes for a roll-up, only gets a near fall. Mandrews counters another X-Plex, this time with a Rana roll-up, much like Mysterio would do, for a near fall, though. And then he goes for a fall to pieces, Dunne dodges out of the way, hits him with a German suplex into the corner, then finally hits the X-Plex, then the bitter end, then the 1, 2, 3. And Dunne moves on. I'm
telling you right now, though, that pin was held on a little bit longer because Mark Andrews probably whispering in Pete Dunne's ear. That was awesome.
Colin, your thoughts on this match?
Intense.
Mm-hmm.
In your face. Awesome. Those are the words that I would use to describe this match, because the counter after reversal these two know each other so well, and it showed. This is one of the first awesome showings we really saw from these gentlemen, and first of many folks. And have we seen Mark Andrews versus Pete Dunne since this match?
I don't think we have, because they're pretty much well established faces on NXT UK. I think if anything, he may have teamed up with them at one point.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but versus each other, not on NXT UK,
not
yet.
But this was fantastic. Mark Andrews showed his athleticism and craziness to a key, because that's a tall step. Those steps are 4 feet off the ground, 3.5, 4 feet off the ground at least.
Maybe 2.5 feet. Maybe 2.5 feet.
That's it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2.5. Maybe 3 tops.
3.
Tops.
Okay.
But that's still a 36-inch leap.
That's
Still, plus what Pete Dunne's 5'10".
Yeah.
So, still, that's a long ass leap. I really loved the Rana, the Hurricane Rana reversal.
Yeah.
Out of the X-Plex. That was fantastic. I really think out of that match that Pete Dunne should have had his own X-Plex City Bitch shirt made. Because there was so many in this match. This is where we knew that Mark Andrews, this is your time.
Well,
time for you to hit the old dusty trail. No, I really loved it. I really did. This was one of the probably fastest paced matches of the whole tournament.
The second he came out on the ramp, Mark Andrew was already holding his neck. So that's one of those situations where you kind of already knew that like Pete Dunne would know about that or capitalize on it. He did, and it was a great match.
I just loved at the end though when he went 3 down.
Yep.
1 to go.
So
that's pretty dope.
Tyler Bate versus Wolfgang. We have one more semifinals match. So, is it my turn to go first? Holy shit.
Or let Colin go first.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Big Man versus Little Man. Wolfgang versus Tyler Bate. Respectable handshake at the beginning, as always, because these are 2 classy fucking gentlemen we're talking about here. So
that's something carried through with Gallus.
So this is where it threw me, because I'm like, all right, we have 2 baby faces here in this match. We have the big Wolfgang and we have the small young Tyler Bate. But this was your David versus Goliath match, if you think about it. Just 2 good guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tyler Bate tried to use his strength and tried to like pick him up for like looks like the airplane spin and stuff, but couldn't do it. Wolfgang powers out of it. We got some good knee shots and stuff like that from Tyler Bate. It was a real good back and forth match. Either way, honestly, it could have went either way in the end. Tyler Bate picking up the victory, of course, but honestly, it could have been Wolfgang. It could have been Wolfgang versus Pete Dunne in the finals. It easily could have. We saw the Tyler Driver 97 hit perfectly right in the center of the ring, and then the reaction was priceless from Tyler, because he's like, holy shit, I just did it. I just pinned him. So I liked that. And then the aftermatch beatdown from Pete Dunne, the attack, the throw right into the ring post, injuring his shoulder, and then run up the ramp, and then we get Papa William Regal coming out, taking his fucking belt off. No, great semifinal match. Like I said, it could have gone either way, and Pete Dunne easily could have attacked Wolfgang and set up the same scenario. But
yeah, by this point, the match was mostly just what you're used to seeing out of these guys for most of the beginning of it, and then we get towards the end, and Wolfgang goes for a howling swanton, but Bate dodges it, but ends up catching a spear when he gets up off of Wolfgang. So, not too bad. Pretty good spear. They called it a shoulder tackle, and I'm like, really? They're like, or maybe it was a spear. It's like, yeah, I think so. And he's on top for a while, but eventually he goes for what I assume was a GTS, a go to sleep, but Bate counters it and hits a Tyler Driver, right? Like, just out of nowhere for the pinfall. They get a handshake out of respect, but like you said, Pete Dunne shows up out of nowhere, puts a forearm to the back or the side of Tyler Bate's head, and then throws him into the ring post. Because of course, once the bell rings and we're outside of the realm, somebody said later in the program, the realm of a match. When you're outside the realm of the match, that shoulder to the ring post hurts a whole lot more. It actually does real world damage, right?
Well, it's because you're coming off that high, is what it is. The match is over. You're exhausted and trying to catch your breath, and somebody throws you into a steel post. It's gonna hurt.
So I think this was also a point that the whole crowd was probably exhausted, and that gave them a moment to sit down and catch their breath and do something other than be excited, maybe worrisome. Who knows? Maybe they really think his shoulder's fucked because they brought the trainer out and sent him back to the doctor's or the trainer's room, whatever.
I'm only gonna say one thing about this match, though. The fact that this was kind of like your sympathetic match, because you had Tyler Bate, the youngest guy in the tournament, and he's the huge underdog in this. But then you also had Wolfgang, who, by all accounts, he was the underdog in this tournament as well. Coming off of a humble background, going all the way up to the semifinals of this. That's super impressive, and people were rooting for him and rooting for Tyler Bate, and frankly, no one lost in this match.
I agree. Yeah, Wolfgang's like the people's Or no, yeah, the People's Champion.
The People's
The
Champion?
People's Wrestler. The People's
Yeah,
Wrestler,
the People's Champion.
Anyway, Earl Crabtree and Darren Fletcher are shown in the crowd. Apparently one's a rugby guy and one's a footballer guy.
Yep.
Footballer
Which is soccer. Yes.
Soccer.
It's soccer.
So, yeah, I guess, cheer up the crowd a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Neville comes out and kind of cheers up the crowd a little bit. They like Neville. Even though at this point I think he's playing a bad guy on WWE television.
Chip on his shoulder, yes.
And he gets on the mic and said he's been forgotten again. They didn't put him in the Cruiserweight tournament. They forgot him on 205 Live. And they forgot him to put him in this tournament. He said, although, to be fair, it wouldn't have been a fair tournament. He would have been a default champion because the rest of the...
No contest.
Yeah, no contest. He said it wouldn't be competitive, so there's nobody that could stand across the ring that, is in his league. And then some music hits, and we see Tommy End, also known as
Aleister Black.
And this turned into an okay match.
Yes.
I've got some notes here, but it was okay. I was just like, I know an Aleister Black match, and it was, for him, it was pretty cool there at the end, but he hits the black mass and then a German suplex off of it, but still doesn't get the pinfall, and I'm like, fuck, he's going to lose. And he does. He fucking loses. Let's see. Neville hits a top rope Hurricane Rana, and I guess it's Aleister Black's fault for going to the top rope. Because Neville followed him up and hit him with a Rana, like standing off the top rope. Like, that's like serious shit. Even a Frankensteiner, the dude is like sitting on the top rope with his feet on the middle rope. Like, fuck. Anyway, follows that with a red arrow. 1, 2, 3. Neville wins. Yay. I guess. Or boo. Whatever I'm supposed to do.
You're supposed to boo.
This is like WWE guy coming in to squash, Aleister Black. What the fuck?
Well, that's back when he was Tommy End and he was just signed with NXT.
What do you think about this exhibition match, Colin?
There were so many kicks. There was so many kicks. Like, obviously, if anyone knew Tommy End's background from Progress or WXW or anything like that with the Sumerian Suicide Squad or some shit like that. I can't remember. It's been a while. But he's just been a brutal kicker. And it was cool because I was unaware that he had signed with WWE. So, cool. And shut Neville the fuck up. I'm tired of listening to him whine all the time because at this point, he's the whiny, bitchy, cryy heel. He's like Mighty Mouse, British Miz. You know what I mean? But no, it was a good exhibition. It was something very unexpected. Obviously, it was a good match to have the breakup between the semifinals and the finals because I was curious of what was going to happen too. Like, all right, we just going to have this match right now? Like, where's Pete going? Like, what's going to happen?
That's what Jerry said when Pete Dunne came out. He's like, yeah, he came out to have the match. Match is on, right?
Match is on right now.
Finals, motherfucker. But,
I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, right? No, I thought this was cool. I thought this was a good showing for people to see Aleister Black, what becomes Aleister Black. First glance, and he was a hometown guy, so it was probably really easy for him to get there as well. So I thought it was a good match. I really did. I wish Neville was still around in WWE, but he's doing his thing as Pac.
Instead of the man Gravity forgot, he's now the man WWE forgot.
If he could have just had a little better temper and whatnot, I think he could have been a big star still in WWE.
But I think he would have been pushed heavily in NXT UK.
Right.
Well, meanwhile, Jerry, your thoughts on the exhibition?
What's that?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
What was really great about this match was seeing Tommy End And this was before Aleister Black. This was before the smoke. This was before the kick-ass music. This was before like all this mystique, almost like Undertaker like mystique that he built up once he went to NXT under the new name. So he's not really plain Jane, but at the same time he doesn't have that menacing factor to him. He does the sit down cross leg thing at one point, and that throws Neville off his game for like 5 seconds. But otherwise, we see pretty much all of his moves except for the top rope Meteora. We didn't see that.
Or the Cabrana into a standing opponent.
Exactly. So it's one of those situations where you just got a little taste of him until like he actually got more of a character and everything set into place. But it was still a great match, I thought, and a good introduction to American crowds, more or less, to Tommy End.
My favorite part of this match was them talking about Tommy End and saying that one of his moves was a version of the Dragon Sleeper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't see the move in this match, and we really don't see that out of Aleister Black until the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like a month or two ago, we saw him do that, and he's now added that to his repertoire, but it seems it was already there. He just never did it before. So, props.
It's really cool to actually just see him like in this scenario and not being as strong as he is now.
So, Finn Balor's there.
Who we met in Toronto.
Yeah, Finn Balor is there, and he comes out, and he's in a suit. Well, his version of a suit. And he doesn't pose.
Because he can't wrestle.
This was after he had suffered his injury that caused him to lose the Universal title the night that he got it. First ever. First time, only time. Whatever. Anyway, he comes out, and basically he's just there to buffer time, I think. He really had nothing to say here.
He's pretty much there to thank the crowd, and that's it.
Yeah, he said, this is really all because of the crowd and the UK fans, and he said... And
they're so humble about it.
Yeah, they started to chant, we deserve it, and he said, you do, you really do, you deserve it. Speaking of deserving it, how about a championship match?
Woo!
Which brings us to the main event. Any last words? Anything about Finn Balor, who we saw in Toronto?
I hated his tie. It's too narrow.
It was very new wavy.
Yeah, it was very Cesaro, and only Cesaro can really rock that, or and Statham, because they're kind of similar. But anyways, that's really all I have to say about that.
Nigel did kind of like allude to Cesaro / Claudio Castagnoli earlier in the night when Tyler Bate had somebody up in the airplane spin. He's like, I've been in that. It's not fun.
I think it was in this next match. I think.
Very well could be.
Because we got a very long airplane spin in this next match.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us, like I said, to the main event, Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate. Now, Charlie Caruso lets us know from the trainer's room before Pete Dunne comes out that Tyler Bate has had a partially separated, like some sort of shoulder tendon, shoulder joint.
Yeah.
And he's still cleared to wrestle though, so he's going to come out and wrestle despite it. And there's spots in this match where you're like, come on, man, man. Your shoulder was partially. He does a single arm deadlift power bomb with that partially separated. He's got all that fucking trainers like. Oh, bullshit. I call bullshit. Anyway, I want to let Colin break down the main event first, though. What were your thoughts?
Wow. We saw Tyler Bate come out of his injury, flipping over ropes. There's one point I can't remember what happened, but he's running. He goes to do like a springboard or something over the ropes.
Fosbury flop.
Yeah, and I mean, this was great. We saw Pete Dunne doing storytelling, working on the arm, any chance he could. We saw the pop and bang situation. We saw a straight slug slap fest at one point. I mean, it was a hell of a main event. These two kids I can say kids because
they were kids.
I'm way older than them both.
Mm-hmm.
Put it the fuck out there. And the look in Tyler Bates' eyes when he hit the 1-2-3 out of that Tyler Driver 97 to officially win the match and become your first ever WWE UK champion or United Kingdom champion. And when they put the belt on him, I felt like he was a small child.
He looked naked.
Because it looked like his pants disappeared.
Yes.
That's what Jerry said.
His pants disappeared and the belt went up to his titties. Like, it was completely gone. Like, he was a small boy, just a young man, young Rider boy, with a big old belt on him. And Pete Dunne, you thought, because of everything that was going to be going on in this tournament with him, how Regal is pissed off Regal, how many times he got the nudge from Triple H, sorry, excuse me, and just him being a straight fucking cocksucker this entire tournament. You thought he was going to come out on top, but, you know,
the feel-good moment.
Boy Blue.
The feel-good moment.
Little boy Blue, 19 years old, can't grow hair on his fucking nuts, wins the match, and here we go. And this is the birth of NXT UK. I thought this was awesome. I watched the tournament again the next day, right afterwards, and I haven't watched it since until last week when I was supposed to do this with you guys, and I fell asleep in the recliner. So, that's my bad.
It's okay.
So, no, I thought this was an excellent, excellent match, and we got to see its sequel a little while later in Chicago, which just tore the house down.
Yeah.
So, this match was great. It was fantastic. I would not change a single thing. I think Tyler Bate winning it first really was the right move because we saw how dominant Pete Dunne was as the UK champion. 685 days dominant. Jerry, what do you think of the main event, bro?
You say that this pretty much was the beginning of NXT UK, and I have to agree. This pretty much sowed the seeds for it, because at least we got the belt like in place. But I think what really really started NXT UK was the rematch of this one where Pete Dunne won the belt, because that began like a whole fucking era of dominance out of Pete Dunne. So, other than that, this match was just beautifully crafted. It had a great story that went on the entire fucking night. Pete Dunne was the well-established heel, and then he pretty much had Danny Russo versus fucking Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid. That's pretty much what you had for this match. Everybody was rooting for Tyler Bate to win. No one wanted to see Pete Dunne win this match, even though they chanted for him. But, like, you had no choice but to chant for Pete Dunne because he's just so brutal and so precise in the ring. But Tyler Bate coming out on top with the sheer strength and will, I guess we'll call it that. Well, okay, I'll go ahead and use the word grit. He had the grit. But this actually has me like this. The finals for this was fantastic, but now it's actually got me psyched for the next UK tournament that we're going to be watching next. So.
Yep. So the story of this match came built in from the attack that happened at the end of the last semifinal match.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had Pete Dunne working over Tyler Bates' arm pretty much the whole match. There was one point where we thought Dunne fucked up because Bate went for a rolling capo kick and Dunne dodged out of the way and then went for a double stomp. But instead of stomping his chest, he stomped his arm.
Yep.
Good stuff.
But we're like, oh yeah, that's classic Dunne.
Dunne goes for a bitter end sort of early in the match. Bate counters with the roll-up, gets a near fall off of it, almost immediately into an airplane spin, and then slows down, and then reverses, and then slows down and acts like he's going to fall, and then lifts him back up, and then spins around the other way, and then goes for a pinfall and only gets a near fall. Let's see. Bate reverses a triangle hold into a single arm deadlift powerbomb. This is what I was telling you guys about.
That's when he was like, bullshit!
Yeah, he gets a near fall off of it. But then we see the Fosbury flop. That twisting tope con hilo over the top rope onto Dunn outside. And then a 450-degree double stomp. So we thought he was going for a 450 splash, but instead he lands a double stomp onto Pete Dunne.
Which looks so much more vicious than an actual splash.
He gets a near fall. That was crazy looking, dude. Then Dunne hits a bitter end, finally, gets a near fall, though. Bate kicks out, so there you go. That was where you would have figured.
I think where Dunne went wrong was he took out that mouth guard.
Well,
that was like all his power.
He puts that double wrist lock on Bate, which is what the commentators were talking about earlier, saying, oh, we've seen him use that double wrist lock, that Kimura lock before, and he's already taken out Bate's shoulder, and this is where he puts it on, but eventually Bate, gets it off. He reverses into just a brain buster. So he's got the Kimura lock on, and Tyler Bate gets his feet underneath him, so he sort of had it on like like you would a guillotine with a grapevine. But yeah, that's where Tyler Bate reverses all the pressure of both arms putting the Kimura lock on to bring his arm over Pete Dunne's head and put him into a vertical. And again, I call bullshit. Anyway. He hits 2 rolling capo kicks and a Tyler driver and gets the pinfall. And Triple H comes out, William Regal comes out, and Fit Finlay comes out, and Finn Balor comes out, and they give him the belt, and he looks like a toddler. Because they don't put it tight enough to where it stays fully around his waist. It droops forward and covers all of his little tights.
Yep.
And he looks like a toddler with a golden diaper on.
Covers up the big strong boys.
It's a beautiful golden diaper. But a golden diaper nonetheless. That brings us to the end of the main event, and I thought it was really good, but we're going to bring it down to good old-fashioned NXT. Out of 5 spots of NXT, Colin, where do you rate the main event?
Well, I'm going to start with a 4.5. Okay, let's start with a 4.5 because they had great storytelling through the entire night. This was just not one match. This was a story that has been told throughout the evening. And it was a very good match to the end of a very good tournament. I really enjoyed the rest of this card a lot. So, and that being said, I'm going to give it another quarter spot of NXT, so I'm going to go with a 4 3/4. I'm not going to give it a perfect 5-star because if we got the match we got at NXT TakeOver Chicago, in this match it would have been a 5 1/4 star match. But I'm just going to go with a 4 3/4. I was super happy with it because either way, I was cool with either guy being champion. It could have been either way. Like Pete Dunne honestly could have got the title and had it for 685 days straight out of the rip. But I'm glad they did the way they did because they got to be showcased on a bigger platform at the NXT crowd, and then the brand launching and all that stuff that helped out, I think, a little bit. But yeah, 4 3/4.
Jerry?
I'm going to go by the same measuring stick that he went by. 4.5 initially, just for the match itself. Then extra quarter for the for just an entirely awesome tournament. But I am actually going to give it the extra quarter because I love the crowd through this whole thing, and I also love the arena that they're in. Something about that, like the Emperor's Ballroom, is just super majestic and super beautiful. And it was like I'm going to say it was the fourth character in this whole thing. You had the 2 wrestlers, you had the referee, and then you had this fucking building, and it was wonderful. Everything just added up perfectly, and it set the tone for the Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne like slugfest that we ended up getting a takeover. Like if we had gotten that match at the end of this show, the crowd would be dead. There would be nobody left alive. There would be so many like seizures and panic attacks and everything else going on in that ring or in that arena that it would have been just a nightmare. So I'm actually glad we got the match we got. Tyler Bate got his huge moment. Like we're going to say youngest UK champion, first ever UK champion at the same time.
Youngest world champion.
Yeah, I was about to say, like other than Rene Dupree, who was also 19 years old, we haven't had
tag champ.
And he was a tag champ, so this is the youngest, I think, singles title that we've actually had. So I'm gonna give it a flat out 5. I'm gonna fuck it 5.
5 stars. 5 stars.
5 spots of tea.
Well, for me, I'm going to start it at 4 1/4 because yes, it was great and it was definitely better than your average great match, but it was kind of an average great match, kind of. I mean, when you look at the match itself, what made this match great and better than average great was the story going in, because like Colin said, they built this for the whole night. They started off the show recapping what Pete Dunne did to Sam Gradwell. Fuck! That guy.
I love how emphatically you said it's like, I got it right!
Nope.
No, I didn't!
And it immediately paid off in the very first match of the night. And so he attacks Tyler Bate at the end of his match, the perfect time to do it, and he's got the least amount of time to recover from it. And he uses that going into this match to tell the story of him going after the arm, but they needed it because you got to think these two dudes both had 2 matches in the 2-hour span,
3 matches altogether.
Like, fuck. This is their 3rd match of the night, and you got to give them credit for that. For all of that, I'm taking it up to 4.5. And coming off of the back of a great show, I'm going to give it 4 3/4. I'm going to agree with Colin. I just can't give it 5. For some reason, I can't give it 5. I think it's because, like Colin said, this was not the match that they could have had, probably because they just had 2 separate matches apiece.
Basically, if they were well rested and got to do it like on a 3rd night
if this had been that takeover match where this was their only match of the night and they got plenty of time, of course 5 star, maybe 5 1/4, 5 spots.
But the thing is with that, it's like I feel with that, like they still put on an awesome match even after having like 2 other matches.
I gave them credit for that.
Yeah,
all that plus the story gave them that extra quarter spot to 4.5. And then the great show put it at 4 1/4. I agree with Colin.
4 3/4. Yeah, I understand. That's fine. I very seldom give out 5s, so high 5.
So that brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT Party. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Colin, for being on the show. Let the folks out there know where they can find you, not on this show. On your show.
You can find me on my YouTube channel at the Cleaver Colin Andrew. Support me. I haven't had really much content up lately.
You've been busy. You've been being
it's life, man.
Yeah,
it's life. But follow me there. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ Colin Andrew. Follow me on Instagram at Colin26Andrew. And follow us on Instagram at aftermatch_wrestling and find us on the Twitter machine at aftermatchrest, WREST, because we take the ling out of wrestling.
Whatever the fuck that means.
So, thanks, dudes, for having me on. Always a blast as normal. So, we'll do this again soon. Maybe I can try to swing the Part 2 tournament.
It's possible. It's highly possible.
So,
we were supposed
maybe by then I'll have my European Championship.
You very well may. We were also supposed to have Evan Francis on with us, but circumstances didn't allow him to be on. So maybe he'll be on there with us next week.
Yeah, we're going to shoot for next week. So look forward to that, hopefully. Pleasure as always, Colin. Thank you for doing the show. If you would like to be on a future episode of the NXT Party, come have a spot of NXT with us. We'll put you on the big screen. We'll put you in the NXT team chat. We'll give you a cool nickname. Unless you want to pick your own, we will let you pick your own nickname.
He
The
just
perks,
kind of
man.
he kind of fell into his. He just ran with it.
Yeah.
You can leave a
Sure.
comment down below with your email address or a way for us to get a hold of you, or you can get a hold of us. I can be found on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. If you just want to look me up, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter.
At Gerald_JSJ, my Facebook group Armbar, all capital ARMBAR. Exclamation point. Awesome.
There it is.
I'm still gonna get that shirt made at some point.
You should.
It's just such an awesome looking logo idea I have for it.
Yeah, find us on Armbar. Don't add us on Facebook. I feel like I have to say that now because we've had people trying to add me. And I don't add you back, not because I don't want to be friends with you, but because I don't want spoilers on my Facebook.
We also have the Aftermatch Wrestling group on Facebook as well.
Follow me on Twitter, and if you want me to follow back, send me a message, and I will absolutely follow back. But not on Facebook, please. Thank y'all.
We also are on the gram of Insta.
Yeah, Instagram at osborne.stefan. You can find him at
_gentleman_slaughter.
And you can find us on Patreon if you'd like to help the channel at Stefan R. Osborne. Or if you just have a few seconds, there's a little button underneath me down here. It's the like button. If you like this video, just click the like button if you have a second.
You guys got a stimulus check.
You're on your
Go to
TV
Patreon.
screen. You can hit the up button on your Roku remote, and then go over to others over here on the side. And then there's actually a like button that you can click on. You can also click on a subscribe button there too if you want. If you want to subscribe to the channel, if you like all of our videos, it just makes sense. That button's over there for those people on your phone. Also,
one prayer.
If you want to help the channel the most, click that share button wherever it is. I know you can't do it on your TV. I appreciate you watching anyway, but if you're on your mobile device, click that share button. Share us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or wherever. You might have friends that like to watch NXT UK, as obscure as that would be, but if they do, they might like to watch us. So if you have a few moments, we appreciate you sharing.
Yep.
Thank you very
Sharing is caring, folks.
Thank you
And
very,
in times
very, very
like
much.
these, we need more caring in the world.
Yes.
So stay home and share that shit.
Yeah. Be safe at home. Vote Andy Brashear for President 2024.
Wash your damn hands.
Eat soup.
And if you don't wash your hands, go buy a gun.
Yeah.
And people will stay away from you so you don't have to wash your hands.
Okay, can we sign off now?
I'm gonna go eat my chicken nugget.
Yeah, seriously, he wants to go eat.
For the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. For the gentleman, Jerry Slaughter. I'm the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne. Thank you for having a spot of NXT with us. And we will see you NXT time.